Hello, back again. I don't know if you can hear, but it's raining today, so I'm filming this inside my carport, which I think I've set the camera up well enough to hide the mess, or most of it anyway. It does need some cleaning. It's scheduled for the summer, so we'll do maybe a before and after video on that, okay? So what I'm here for today is to show you my latest purchase, and that is this little jewel. And this is, well, it's made by an Italian company called Pietta, and it's a reproduction of a gun that actually existed, although this particular gun never did actually exist. This is kind of a fantasy gun. I'll get into that here in a bit. But yeah, you'll notice this is an 1851 black powder cap and ball revolver. Snub nose with a 3-inch barrel. So if you're like me, for a long time, I didn't know that snub nose firearms were actually as common as they were during the 1850s, pre-Civil War, and even during the Civil War period. Here's the thing on this, and let me show you. Okay, Colt came out with these big-ass guns like this one. This is another fantasy gun made by Colt, and this one's already had the barrel cut down to 5 inches. Normally the barrel would have been about this long. Colt's first attempts at a reliable revolver were the Patterson, which then evolved into the Dragoons. In the 1840s, the Dragoons were just big, heavy, powerful sidearms that he had envisioned and designed for the military. That didn't really pan out so well, so we started marketing them for the civilian population. Now the thing is this, in pre-Civil War America, most people did not openly carry handguns. In fact, the Hollywood myth of even during the Gunsmoke days, you know, if you'd see every man on the streets walking down with a 6-shooter on his hip, for the most part never actually existed. All right? There were always, I say always, many towns, many jurisdictions had ordinances against openly carrying firearms. Plus, people didn't really want to wear a gun openly because it was just kind of like drawing attention to yourself, all right? So even this gun, which is a 44 caliber, 1851 Navy, which if you know anything about Colt, you already caught the fantasy part right there. But this one's already been cut down a few inches. It's got a 5-inch barrel and is known as a sheriff's model. And this is a nice looking gun, but it's kind of big to be wearing, you know, in a vest pocket or in your belt or your pants pocket or something. So the civilians never really picked up on this much. So Colt came up with, their answer was this. Now you can see the difference here, all right? Quite a difference. This is the 1849 pocket gun, which is actually released in 1850. 31 caliber, very small, 5-shot, very light, easy to hide. Not enough punch for military use, but enough for self-defense. You put a couple of these in someone's gut, it's likely going to take the, as we like to say, take the wind out of his sails, all right? Even if it doesn't kill him. It's going to make him think twice about pressing the assault, most of the time. However, it's very low powered. It is for up close, personal self-defense. This is the kind of gun that a woman would carry in a purse or in a corset, a banker might carry in a vest pocket, you know. Any gun is better than no gun at all, right? So this was actually Colt's most popular selling firearm for about 25 years among the civilians until the double action cartridge guns came out in the mid-1870s. So from about 1850 to 1873, 75, this kept Colt afloat. This little handgun right here kept Colt going, not the big heavy-ass military horse saddle guns. These things. Now, there was a percentage of the population, however, maybe not so, I don't know, good, you know, gamblers, riverboat people, right, who wanted a concealed firearm, handgun, but wanted more kick to it than this little thing could give. So what people started doing, almost as soon as these things came out, people started buying them and cutting the barrels off. And as you can see, this is a full frame, full sized 44 caliber Navy. And the reason I'm doing this is because Colt never made a Navy in 45 caliber. They made, in 1851, they came out with the Navy and the Army. And this actually came out in 1850. Again, called them the 1851 to distinguish it from the 1849, which is also released in 1850. The Navy was released in 36 caliber and the Army was released in 44 caliber. This one is also a modern reproduction made by Pietta, as was the other one that I showed with the longer barrel. Also in 44 caliber, because today both Pietta and Uberti, another company making these antique replicas, make the Navy in both the 36 and 44, and I'm just a big caliber kind of guy. I like the 44 calibers. I don't really care much for those little 36 calibers. So that sort of makes this a fantasy gun by itself. Just the fact that the caliber of this particular gun never existed. But there's a few other things about it. One, you'll notice it's got a little bead front sight. See that? Well, that front sight would normally have been way out here at the end of the barrel. So if you cut the barrel off, where it happens to the sight? Yeah. Now, of course, a gunsmith could reinstall a new sight, so, you know, that's not such a big deal. But here's another thing. And yes, if you'll notice, this gun is loaded. That's the sealant or the lube in front of the ball. But there's no caps on it. So it's perfectly safe. It ain't gonna fire unless I stick a red hot wire down the nipple. All right, so don't freak out. Oh my God, there's a bullet in there. Yeah, there's a bullet in there and there's no percussion caps, so it's safe. Okay, now then, where was I? Oh yes. You'll notice this hole here. Can you see that little hole right there? That is where the ram would normally go, and this is also where how you load it on the gun today. You can also disassemble it and load the cylinder off, because you notice there's no ram here. It's too short, wouldn't do any good whatsoever. Also, on the bigger one and on the little one also, you'll see that right there is a screw, threaded screw, and there's a groove in this part right here where this lever actually rams the bullet down. Okay. Those are missing from this, all right? No, see, no hole, no groove. This thing, this barrel assembly, this whole thing up here is the barrel assembly. This thing was clearly machined, let me get back a little bit, clearly machined at the factory in Pietta in Italy as a snub nose. Okay, again, Colt never made a snub nose. Well, actually they did. They made one 36 caliber that we know of for a Confederate officer during the Civil War, but that was a special order. They never issued a snub nose that you could just go into a store and buy. So all of them, right, would have had a hole here, threaded hole, and a groove where they took the ram off. This thing was clearly made at the factory as a snub nose. So that by itself distinguishes it from an actual antique, if nothing else. Again, also being in 44 caliber. And then there's one other thing about it. You notice that handle? That's a cool looking handle, isn't it? That's great. This came out in 1875 when the first Colt's double action revolver. So in 1851, this didn't exist. Okay, it would have came out with a standard handle that you've seen on the other gun that I was holding. So it's possible somebody could have bought an 1850, cut the barrel down, carried it for 25 years, right? And then when they saw this bird head handle, thought, oh, that's really cool, and put it on their trusty old cap and ball revolver. But cartridge guns were out by then, double action cartridge guns. This is a single action cap and ball. You know, if you're going to upgrade, why not really upgrade and go with the real thing, you know? Go with the best, the latest and greatest. So this is kind of a fantasy gun, but it is really fun to shoot. It's very ergonomically designed. I mean, the balance on this thing is just great, you know, just this excellent grip, excellent balance. Easily concealable. I can actually fit this, and I can't back up enough to show you, but I can actually fit this in my jeans pocket and completely conceal it in just a pair of Levi blue jeans in the front pocket. Just stick it down in there and you can't see it. You can't tell I'm carrying a gun around. very easily concealable if you want to conceal, if you want to carry concealed. Please follow all local, state, and federal regulations on that. If you decide to make that choice to carry concealed, do it legally, okay? Even though this is black powder, and by definition it is not a firearm, once you conceal it, it is considered a deadly weapon. So while it's not a firearm, it is a deadly weapon and therefore subject to all deadly weapon restrictions. Okay. Knockdown power. Not as much as the full 7.5-inch barrel, considerably shorter. This thing will generate about 900 feet per second muzzle velocity with a 44 caliber soft lead round ball. Now, to be honest, you might see some people shooting this thing at ballistics gel or stacks of paper plates, comparing them with modern 357 Magnums or 44s or whatever, to demonstrate how pitiful this thing is, how weak and pitiful. When the weather clears up, because I said it's raining, actually raining pretty good. I'm surprised if you don't hear it. I'm kind of surprised. I'm going to set up a Paul Harrell meat target, and we're going to try this thing out against a modern handgun. Having shot it at paper targets and felt the recoil on this, my feeling is this thing could put a bull down up close, up close and personal, right up against him. One well-aimed shot, I think you could drop a bull with this. I'm serious. This is not a toy, all right? No one's going to take 2 shots, let alone 3, in the middle of the body with this and laugh. No one's going to laugh at you. No one's going to, ho, 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 what's that, black powder? No, nothing else. They're going to hit the ground and die, if they're not already dead when they hit the ground. These things are not toys, okay? They're not incapable, okay? They're not unreliable. I've been shooting black powder for about 50 years. Yeah, about 50 years. Along with modern conventional firearms also. I've fired a wide range of both conventional and black powder firearms, so I'm well familiar with them. No, I'm not a competitor. I don't have a wall full of medals. I just never had any interest in competing, competition. Also, a couple of years ago, I had cataract surgery in my eyes, and my vision really is pretty much shot as far as shooting goes. It's actually better now than it was. I was nearsighted, wore corrective glasses, and with those I could actually shoot pretty decent, but now I've got one eye's focused up close, one eye's focused far out, so when I aim, I can either see the sights of the gun and I can't see the target, or I can see the target, but I can't see the sights of the gun. Has not stopped me from enjoying shooting one little bit. So, having fired a wide range of firearms in the past, well, going back to the beginning, I'm going to say 55 years altogether. When I got my first little .22 single-shot rifle for Christmas. Yeah, I mean, would this be my first choice for self-defense? Self-defense carry, everyday self-defense carry? No, of course not. I'm not stupid. But if I had this on me, would I have any concerns about this being able to put an opponent down? Absolutely not. All right, this is not a toy. This is a deadly-ass weapon. Range is extremely limited, and it's intended to be so because it was called at the time belly gun, except for the Mormons who called it the Avenging Angel. And you can buy it over the internet now under that name, Avenging Angel, or you can do a search belly gun. Nobody really knows why it's called belly gun. The two most commonly accepted reasons are that you would either carry it in your belt and you would draw it out and shoot it from your belly, okay? A card game at the table. Or you would pull it out of your belt, cock it, stick it in your opponent's belly and pull the trigger. It is intended for up-close combat. So, yeah, this is my latest little toy, and I intend to have some fun shooting it. When the weather clears up and I can get to the range, I'll do a video on that. And thanks for watching.